What if the key to living a long, vibrant life wasn't hidden in expensive treatments or complicated health plans, but quietly tucked into the daily routines of a 105-year-old Japanese doctor? Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara spent over a century caring for others. He was still seeing patients well into his hundreds, walking without assistance and living with clarity and purpose. But what's most astonishing is that his longevity wasn't built on strict rules or exotic diets. It came from something far simpler and far more doable. He ate the same small group of nourishing foods nearly every day. He moved his body gently. He smiled often. And in his final years, he left behind a legacy, not just of wisdom, but of 5 practical habits that helped him thrive long past the age most people begin to decline. Today, we're going to gently walk through those 5 powerful principles that shaped his long, healthy life. And more importantly, how you can start using them right now to support your own energy, digestion, and peace of mind after 60. Because here's something we don't hear enough. Aging doesn't have to mean giving up the things you love. In fact, with the right habits, it can become a time of deeper vitality, richer relationships, and a renewed connection to your body. We'll begin with something deceptively simple, but deeply powerful. Not what you eat, but how much. But before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever met someone who inspired you to rethink aging? Someone whose lifestyle made you say, I want to live like that? Share their name in the comments. I'd love to read those stories. Now let's begin with the first habit Dr. Hinohara lived by and why it might just change the way you eat, feel, and age. Let's start with something many of us were taught to ignore: the feeling of enough. In America, we've grown up with phrases like clean your plate, don't waste food, or go big or go home. Fullness became the finish line. But in Okinawa, Japan, where some of the longest living people in the world reside, the goal is very different. They follow a gentle, mindful practice called hara hachi bu, which simply means eat until you are 80% full. Not stuffed, not tight, just satisfied, and then stop. At first glance, it may seem small, but the impact, profound. Modern science now confirms what the Okinawans have known for generations. Eating just a little less, consistently, can help reduce chronic inflammation, ease the load on your digestive system, support heart health, and slow down the aging of your cells. It's not about restriction, it's about rhythm, about honoring the moment when your body whispers, that's enough, rather than waiting for it to shout, I'm too full. Dr. Hinohara lived by this principle every day. He often ate light meals, slowly and thoughtfully, and left the table just a little hungry. He believed this single habit was one of the main reasons he had such remarkable energy and clarity, even in his 90s. Let me introduce you to Helen, a retired school teacher from Ohio. She's 68 now and spent much of her adult life finishing every last bite, just like she was taught. But over time, she noticed something wasn't right. After meals, she felt bloated, tired, and mentally foggy. Her afternoons became a blur of fatigue. Then one day, she heard about hara hachi bu and decided to try it. She began with a simple question at every meal: am I still hungry or just eating out of habit? She started eating a little slower, putting her fork down between bites, taking a breath. She paused when she felt 70% full and waited. The results came quietly but steadily. Her digestion improved. Her energy returned. She slept more soundly. And for the first time in years, she felt in tune with her body again. Here's the beautiful part. You can try this tonight. No diet, no measuring, just awareness. Eat slowly, breathe between bites. Notice when the food stops tasting amazing, because that's often when your body's had enough. And if you find yourself tempted to go back for seconds, pause. Give it 5 minutes. You may realize you're already satisfied. This practice isn't just about living longer. It's about feeling better, right now. Lighter after meals, calmer in your body, more present at the table. As Dr. Hinohara showed us, eating well isn't just about the food. It's about the relationship we build with it. A relationship rooted in respect, not excess. Now here's something that might challenge what many of us were taught growing up, especially if you were raised to believe that a real meal has to include meat. Let's talk about protein and where we get it. In much of the Western world, when people think of protein, they think steak, chicken, or eggs. Meat has long been seen as the centerpiece of strength, energy, and good nutrition. But in Okinawa, Japan, where a striking number of people live past 100, the story is different. There, much of the daily protein doesn't come from meat at all. It comes from plants. And at the heart of this tradition, a humble, nourishing ingredient many Americans still overlook: soybeans. Tofu, miso, edamame, and natto aren't exotic over there. They're everyday foods. And they're powerful. These soy-based staples are rich in complete plant protein, which means they provide all the essential amino acids your body needs. But they also bring so much more. Isoflavones, which support heart health and help reduce chronic inflammation. Prebiotic fiber, which feeds the good bacteria in your gut. And a gentle, easy-to-digest energy that doesn't weigh you down. Dr. Hinohara, who practiced medicine until age 100, credited much of his longevity to his daily servings of tofu and soy. He believed it helped keep his arteries clear, his digestion smooth, and his mind sharp, even in his later years. Let me tell you about Frank, a 73-year-old retired engineer. For decades, he avoided soy. He'd heard rumors, something about estrogen and hormones, and figured it was best to steer clear. But one day, while watching a documentary about Japanese centenarians, something shifted. Frank saw people in their 90s and hundreds walking, laughing, gardening, and eating tofu every day. It got him thinking. So he gave it a try. He swapped out red meat twice a week for a tofu stir-fry with bok choy, garlic, and ginger. It wasn't a big change, but after just 3 weeks, Frank noticed his blood pressure easing, his afternoon joint aches lessening, and his energy returning. The nap he used to need every day? Suddenly optional. Here's what's important. You don't need to become a vegetarian. This isn't about cutting out all meat. It's about adding balance. Try this. Toss a handful of edamame into your salad. Stir a spoonful of miso into warm water for a morning broth. Add lentils or black beans to your soup once or twice a week. Or like Frank, cook a simple tofu dish with your favorite vegetables. These aren't trendy superfoods. They're timeless, trusted allies in healthy aging. And if you've been hesitant about soy, here's the science. Multiple studies, some from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, have shown that soy intake is associated with lower LDL cholesterol, improved bone health, and even reduced risk of cognitive decline in older adults. What's more, soy is gentle on the planet, affordable, and easy to prepare. A small square of tofu or a scoop of beans can go a long way towards strengthening your body without putting stress on your digestion, your joints, or your wallet. So the next time you plan a meal, consider this. What if the key to feeling stronger, lighter, and more vibrant isn't more meat, but more meaning in the choices you make? Let your plate reflect a quiet kind of wisdom, the same kind practiced by those who thrive well past 90. Now here's something that might surprise you. One of Japan's most powerful health practices isn't a new supplement. It's not a special vitamin or an expensive superfood. It's a bowl of warm soup. Every morning, Dr. Hinohara began his day with miso soup, a simple fermented broth made from soybeans. And he wasn't alone. In Okinawan kitchens, fermented foods are as common as salt and pepper. But why does this matter for your health? Because fermented foods quietly support the systems that keep you thriving, especially after 60. They're alive with good bacteria, enzymes, and compounds that Western diets often overlook. Foods like miso, a fermented soybean paste rich in probiotics. Natto, a traditional Japanese dish packed with vitamin K2, essential for heart and bone health. Pickled vegetables, such as fermented radish or cucumber. And kombu seaweed, sometimes fermented and added to soups or rice. These aren't just flavorful extras. They're nature's way of keeping your gut in balance. As we age, our digestion naturally slows. We may feel more bloated, sluggish, or irregular after meals. This isn't just uncomfortable. It affects energy, mood, and immune strength. That's where fermented foods come in. They replenish the good bacteria in your gut, provide digestive enzymes to help break down food more easily, and reduce inflammation, a quiet but powerful driver of aging-related issues, from stiff joints to brain fog. Let's take Claire, for example. She's 70, a retired librarian, and had been dealing with uncomfortable bloating and unpredictable digestion for years. She tried everything: fiber powders, probiotic pills, even cutting out certain foods, but nothing truly helped. Then a friend introduced her to real, unpasteurized miso paste. Claire started small, just 1 teaspoon in a cup of warm water each morning, like a gentle broth. No dramatic changes, no complicated regimens. By the second week, something shifted. Her stomach felt lighter. She had more energy throughout the day, and perhaps most surprisingly, her afternoon cravings calmed down. It wasn't just about digestion. Her whole rhythm felt better. That's the beauty of fermented foods. They support you from the inside out, quietly nurturing systems most people don't even realize are struggling. And unlike probiotic supplements, which often contain only a few strains of bacteria, real fermented foods offer diversity. They're a living, dynamic ecosystem of beneficial microbes. And that variety is exactly what your gut needs to stay resilient. If you've never tried them before, start gently. Sip a warm miso broth in the morning. Add a few slices of naturally fermented pickles to your lunch. Look for yogurt labeled live and active cultures, ideally unsweetened. Or explore kefir, sauerkraut, or kimchi, depending on your tastes. One note, always check labels. Not all pickles or yogurts are truly fermented. Look for phrases like naturally fermented or contains live cultures, and avoid ones loaded with sugar or vinegar-based shortcuts. Fermented foods aren't about a fad, they're about restoring balance. And balance is something we could all use a little more of as the years go by. So tomorrow, when you think about what to eat, ask yourself, is this meal feeding just my hunger or also my microbiome? Coming up next is a food group that many Americans fear, but in Okinawa, it's a daily staple. And the truth about it might just surprise you. Now let's talk about a food that often gets an unfair reputation: carbohydrates. In many Western diets, especially among older adults trying to manage weight or blood sugar, carbs are treated like the enemy. We hear it everywhere. Cut the carbs, avoid starch. Carbs will make you tired and gain weight. But here's what's missing from that conversation. Not all carbs are created equal. In fact, one particular carbohydrate, eaten daily by some of the longest living people on Earth, may be one of the most powerful longevity foods available. We're talking about the Japanese purple sweet potato. In Okinawa, this vibrant, naturally sweet root vegetable isn't a side dish, it's a staple. For many centenarians there, it makes up more than half their daily calories. And they're not just surviving, they're thriving, walking, gardening, cooking, and living independently well into their 90s and hundreds. So what makes the purple sweet potato so special? First, it's rich in anthocyanins, the same antioxidant compounds that give blueberries and red cabbage their deep colors. Anthocyanins are known for their ability to reduce inflammation, protect blood vessels, and fight oxidative stress, one of the major accelerators of aging. Second, sweet potatoes are naturally high in fiber, which supports digestion, helps regulate blood sugar, and keeps you feeling full without needing heavy portions. Third, they're packed with potassium, vitamin C, and other nutrients that support heart health and immunity, two systems that deserve extra care as we age. And here's the best part. They're gentle on the body. With a low glycemic index, purple sweet potatoes release energy slowly, without causing the sugar spikes and crashes that leave you feeling tired or foggy. Let's meet Paul, 69. He had been diagnosed with prediabetes and, following conventional advice, cut carbs nearly completely. That meant no rice, no bread, and definitely no sweet potatoes. At first, he lost a few pounds, but within weeks, he felt drained. His energy dipped every afternoon, his cravings for sweets intensified, and his mood grew short. It felt like he was constantly fighting his body. Then, during a nutrition session, his dietitian explained the difference between refined carbs and complex, nutrient-rich carbohydrates, like sweet potatoes. Paul was hesitant, but gave it a try. He started with just half a cup of steamed Japanese sweet potato at lunch. And the results? Remarkable. He felt more satisfied after meals. His energy stayed steady all afternoon. And his blood sugar? It held more stable than it had in months. Sometimes what your body needs isn't less food, it's better food. So how can you bring this into your kitchen? Look for purple sweet potatoes at Asian markets or specialty grocery stores. If unavailable, orange flesh sweet potatoes still offer wonderful benefits. Steam, bake, or roast them without adding sugar, marshmallows, or butter. Add a few cubes to a warm salad, enjoy them with a sprinkle of cinnamon, or pair them with a bowl of miso soup. Don't be afraid of carbs. Be thoughtful about them. The long-lived people of Okinawa didn't avoid carbs, they chose the right kind. Foods that offered comfort and nourishment without harming the body's natural balance. And in doing so, they found energy, clarity, and long life. In our next section, we'll explore the final, and perhaps most overlooked, key to longevity. It's not found on your plate, but it shapes how every meal, every step, and every smile adds up over time. Before we wrap up, let's pause for a moment, because the most powerful longevity lesson from Japan's oldest doctor wasn't about what he ate, it was about how he lived. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who practiced medicine well into his hundreds, didn't follow a trendy diet. He didn't weigh his food or count his macros. Instead, he followed something far deeper, a daily rhythm of simplicity, purpose, and joy. He believed that health wasn't just about nutrients or steps walked. It was about how you show up for life. Every morning, he started with light movement and a bowl of warm miso soup. He avoided heavy meals. He took the stairs instead of the elevator, even in his 90s. He wrote books, gave lectures, and always stayed curious. He found joy in conversation, in tea, in quiet. He once said, "To stay young, you must have fun." Let that sink in for a moment. Now meet Marie, 71. For years, she lived with food rules. She read every label, avoided carbs, counted every calorie, but it made her feel anxious. Her meals felt like math problems. She was always bracing for guilt instead of feeling nourished. Then she read about Dr. Hinohara. She decided to shift her focus. Instead of rules, she embraced rituals. Each morning, she began with a slow walk around her neighborhood. At breakfast, she ate mindfully, no TV, just her tea and the birds outside. In the afternoon, she paused for 5 minutes to sit with her plants. She smiled more, laughed more, worried less, and something changed. She slept better. Digestion improved. Her mood lifted. And food, once her enemy, became her ally. This is the power of rhythm. It's not about perfection. It's about how you carry your habits, the pace you set, the kindness you show yourself, the grace you allow. So as you reflect on the foods we've talked about, miso, sweet potatoes, tofu, fermented vegetables, remember it's not only what's on your plate, it's what's in your spirit. Here are a few gentle rhythms inspired by Dr. Hinohara. You can try this week. Start your day light. Skip the heavy breakfasts. Opt for something warm, simple, and soothing. Move gently every day. A 20-minute walk is enough. Let your body feel the air, the light, the earth beneath your feet. Embrace small joys. A favorite book. Watering your garden. A call with someone you love. These moments nourish your soul more than any supplement. Avoid overeating out of habit. Pause between bites. Ask yourself, am I still hungry or am I just finishing what's on the plate? Smile more. Worry less. Seriously, it sounds simple, but it works. And if you're thinking, I wish I'd started this earlier, don't worry. The best time to begin was yesterday. The second best time? Today. Because true longevity isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. And that begins not with a rule, but with a rhythm. Let's take a quiet moment to reflect on what we've learned. None of the habits we explored today require a special supplement or a strict diet. They don't ask you to turn your life upside down. In fact, they're the opposite. Gentle, consistent steps practiced each day by some of the longest living people in the world. These are the rhythms that guided Dr. Hinohara, Japan's beloved doctor, well past 100, and they can guide you too. So here's your simple roadmap. 5 shifts you can start today. 1. Eat until you're 80% full. This practice, known in Japan as harahachi bu, helps reduce the burden on your digestion, lowers inflammation, and gives your body just what it needs. Nothing more, nothing less. You'll feel lighter, clearer, and more in tune with your hunger cues. Just pause halfway through your meal. Breathe. Ask yourself, am I still hungry or am I eating out of habit? 2. Add more plant proteins. Tofu, lentils, beans, edamame. These humble foods deliver lasting energy, protect your heart, and are far easier on your body than heavy meats. You don't have to go vegetarian. Just make space on your plate for more balance. Try one plant-based meal this week. See how your body responds. 3. Include fermented foods, miso, pickled vegetables, natto. These foods are alive with probiotics that support digestion, immunity, and even mood. They've been part of the Japanese diet for generations, and they work in harmony with your gut. 1 spoon of miso in warm water, a slice of fermented radish or sauerkraut. It's that simple. Choose smart carbs like sweet potatoes. Don't fear carbs. Just choose the right ones. Purple sweet potatoes in particular are rich in antioxidants, easy to digest, and deeply nourishing. They provide steady fuel without the sugar crash. Start with half a cup alongside your lunch or dinner. Let them ground you. 5. Live with rhythm and joy. This one might be the most important of all. Walk gently each day, smile often. Begin your morning slowly. Find joy in small rituals, whether it's sipping tea, planting herbs, or laughing with someone you love. Remember, it's not just about living longer, it's about living lighter. And the best part? You don't have to do them all at once. In fact, we encourage you not to. Pick one, just one. Let it take root in your life. Let it become part of your rhythm. Maybe today you start eating a little slower. Or maybe you try miso broth in the morning. Maybe you decide to walk after breakfast just for 10 minutes to greet the day. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. So tell me, which of these 5 shifts speaks to you the most today? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know. Your story might inspire someone else to begin their own journey. And if this video opened your eyes, if it gave you something gentle and helpful to hold on to, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing thoughtful, kind content to those who need it most. Coming up next, we'll explore one food that's often labeled as healthy, but may actually be speeding up aging in older adults. You won't want to miss that one. Until then, take care of your body, your spirit, and your pace. A longer life isn't built on giant leaps. It's built on steady, loving steps. 1 bowl of miso, 1 sweet potato, 1 quiet moment at a time. See you in the next video.